Chapter 1. The arrival. The crew of the spacecraft, SS Andromeda, had been sent to the remote planet of Zorban to study its unique flora and fauna. They were a team of 6, the captain, 2 scientists, a medic, a mechanic, and a communications officer. As they landed on the planet, they noticed something strange. One of the scientists, Dr. Samantha, was missing. They searched the entire ship and the surrounding area, but she was nowhere to be found. Chapter 2. The discovery. The team quickly realized that something was not right. They gathered in the captain's quarters to discuss what to do next. As they talked, they heard a strange noise coming from outside. They cautiously made their way to the airlock, weapons at the ready. What they saw outside was even stranger. The airlock door was open, and Dr. Samantha's body was lying just outside, a large wound on her chest. The team was stunned. They had never seen anything like it before. They quickly secured the airlock and went back inside the ship. Chapter 3. The investigation. The team knew they had to act fast. They were in a remote part of the galaxy, with no one to help them. They needed to find out what happened to Dr. Samantha, and they needed to do it quickly. The captain assigned each team member a task. The 2 scientists would examine the body and try to determine the cause of death. The medic would keep a watchful eye on everyone, making sure that no one was showing any signs of illness. The mechanic would check the airlock and the rest of the ship to make sure that it was secure. And the communications officer would try to send a distress signal back to Earth. As the team went about their tasks, they noticed something strange. The airlock had been tampered with from the outside. The team realized that Dr. Samantha had been murdered. They were now facing a murderer on an unknown planet, with no one to turn to for help. Chapter 4. The suspects. The team worked tirelessly to try to find the murderer. They had narrowed it down to 3 suspects: the captain, the medic, and the communications officer. The captain had a motive, as Dr. Samantha was his top rival for a prestigious award. The medic had been acting suspiciously, and was seen near the airlock just before Dr. Samantha's death. And the communications officer had a history of mental instability and a known grudge against Dr. Samantha. Chapter 5. The reveal. As they continued their investigation, they found a crucial piece of evidence. A recording device hidden in the airlock captured the voice of the murderer. The voice was unmistakable. It was the medic. The team confronted the medic, and he eventually broke down and confessed. He had been jealous of Dr. Samantha, who was getting all the attention for her work. He snuck out of the ship, killed Dr. Samantha, and tried to make it look like an accident. The team was horrified. They had been living and working with a murderer for days. They quickly secured him and called for a transport to take him back to Earth to face justice. The SS Andromeda's mission was a failure, but the team had solved a mystery that could have gone unnoticed for centuries. They learned the hard way that danger can come from anywhere, even on an unknown planet light-years from home. Chapter 6. The aftermath. The team was in shock after the revelation of the medic's guilt. They felt violated and betrayed by someone they trusted. The captain was especially hard hit, as he had brought the medic on the mission and was responsible for the safety of his crew. As they waited for the transport to arrive, the team had to come to terms with what had happened. They needed to debrief and process the events that had transpired, both for their own mental health and for the safety of future missions. Chapter 7. The trial. The transport finally arrived, and the medic was taken back to Earth to stand trial. The team had to testify and recount the events that had taken place on Zorban. It was a grueling and emotional experience, but they were determined to see justice served. The trial was long and intense. The prosecution painted the medic as a cold-blooded killer, while the defense tried to argue that he was driven to desperation by the pressures of the mission and the lack of support from his fellow crewmates. In the end, the jury found the medic guilty of murder and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The team felt a sense of closure, but they also realized that the experience would stay with them forever. Chapter 8. The memorial. The team returned to the SS Andromeda to collect their belongings and close up the ship. They held a memorial for Dr. Samantha, honoring her work and her life. They released a message capsule into space, containing her research and a record of her life. They hoped that someday, someone would find it and carry on her legacy. As they said their final goodbyes to the planet and each other, they realized that their lives had changed forever. They had faced a murderer in a trial, and they had come out the other side. They were stronger and more united than ever before. Chapter 9. The future. The team went their separate ways after the mission. Some left the space program, while others continued to explore the galaxy. The captain became a respected speaker, traveling the world and sharing the lessons he had learned on Zorban. The two scientists continued their research, working together on new projects. The communications officer started a family and lived a quiet life. And the mechanic opened his own repair shop, fixing spaceships and helping to keep the galaxy connected. Years passed, and the team remained close. They got together every few years, reminiscing about their time on Zorban and catching up on each other's lives. They were a tight-knit group, bonded by their shared experience and their love for space and exploration. Chapter 10. The legacy. The team's story became a legend in the space community. They were seen as heroes, who had faced danger and solved a mystery on a remote planet. Their names were added to the list of space pioneers, and their legacy lived on through the generations. Years turned into decades, and the team aged. They look back on their time on Zorban with pride and sadness, knowing that they had been a part of something greater than themselves. They had explored the unknown, solved a mystery, and left a legacy that would live on for generations.